Hello, Everpony. Welcome to Sprocket Productions. I don't know if this is actually recording anything here, but right now I am going to attempt to make a science fiction gun in Blender. Now, I am going to do this quite a bit differently than most people would make a science fiction gun, but it's still going to look really cool, definitely science fiction. I'm going to start with a cylinder. I'm going to make the barrel, sort of the gun first. So I'm going to go R, Y, 90, I think. Oh wait, wrong button. There we go. Okay, no, not the right rotation. I can fix this though. R, Z, 90. There we go. I'm going to scale this down a bit. Now S, Y, to scale on the Y axis, I'm going to scale it about to 10. That looks good. Going to go into my front view, Shift C. I'm going to G, Z, 1, enter, Shift D, Z, -1, G, X, 1, Shift D, X, -2, Shift D, Z, -1, G, X, 1. Alright, now we have the basic design of the 4 barrels that I'm going to want on the gun. Now, this is not how I want this setup to be, so I'm going to select them all like this, and this button over here, I'm going to click it and scale. Bring them really close together like this. Now, I know they look a little polygonal at the moment, you can see the individual faces, but it's going to look really smooth and cool looking in the final model. Now, I'm going to uncheck that, going to press Shift D, right click M, and move to layer 2. Now, this one, going to scale on the Y axis by 0.8, wait, no, 0.9, 0.8, 7, 0.6, 5, 2. Yeah, that one. Alright. Now I'm going to individually scale these up. So, S 1.2? No, 1.1. It's better. 1. Whoa. Not what I meant to do. S 1.1. S 1.1. S 1.1. And I just noticed something. I should have had that set on median point. That's okay. That'll still probably look pretty good. Alright, going to drag these to the ends here. I'm going to press 1. And you'll already notice a bit of a problem here. We have some of these kind of intersecting strangely with the barrels. I'm going to turn this back on and scale them inwards just a little bit. And now we shouldn't be seeing that problem so much. I'm going to do a few manual adjustments. And Okay, I only really needed one manual adjustment. Alright, that looks really good. I think I just got Facebook messages. A Facebook message. Alright, now. Sure, we have these interesting looking barrel things, but they're not so pretty looking like I'm wanting. So I'm gonna press tab, like this, I'm gonna press 3. I'm going to R4, 5, minus, and I'm going to scale it on the Z-axis. There. Now that barrel shape looks really cool. So I'm going to press tab, and there's that one. Now, this one, 3, tab, oh wait, that face, 3. Now, R4, 5, enter, SZ, control, just gonna scale it up to there. So you'll notice it's already starting to look really, really cool. Gonna do the same on this one, only this time I'm gonna go to 7, R4, 5, SX control, to about, not that far, there we go. There, tabs like that, 7, R4, 5, minus, enter, SX control, and now we have most of the front of the gun. These barrels look really, really cool. They have this smooth looking design. Now, you guys are probably already going, why are you going with the polygonal look? But I'm going to go to my Modifiers tab, going to add smooth shading to that, and an edge split modifier. Now you'll notice on that one, it's got these smooth edges with, or these smooth faces with the sharp looking edges like it should. Although that's not how smooth shading looks when you just first add it. Now this is just normal smooth shading added. It looks okay. Looks better than flat shading, I guess. But I'm gonna add modifier, edge split, and that looks good, doesn't it? I need to do that on all 4 of these in order for it to look good. One second, I'm gonna mute the TV so you're not hearing that through the whole tutorial thing. Alright, it's turned off. Or, not turned off, it's muted, but gives the same effect. Anyway, let's continue on this. Now, we have these sleek looking barrels with what look like these interesting shaped compensators. This is how a sci-fi gun should look. It should look science fiction, but also smooth and nice looking. Now I'm going to move to layer 2 to do this next part. Going to Shift A and cube. Now, we're going to make what connects the grip to this part, which is probably going to be the receiver. Now, if we were just to slap a cube there, let's say, I'm going to move that to layer 1 for a bit. If I just stuck a cube right there, it would get the job done, but it's not the effect we're going for now, is it? This one is going to be more complex than the others, so I'm gonna start loop cutting it a bit. There we go. Going to press this button, which lets these other parts be selected. Going to deselect everything, go to my front view, face select, press B for box select, and I'm going to drag over here and delete the faces. Now, we have half of a cube. Doesn't look like much. It could serve as half of a box. That number's unavailable, so I'm not going to answer it. But we need the other half. So I did this so it would be symmetrical, and you'll see how I can do that in just a second. I just added a mirror modifier. And so now it's symmetrical. Now we can start on the actual smooth model of the receiver of our gun. Now, let's see what we can do. Now I am going to first off select this whole top thing here, and just gonna smooth this out a bit. Looks pretty good. I'm going to go back into face select, select all of these, drag them out, select these, drag them out, and select these 4 bottom ones, drag them out. Now sure, that looks pretty alright, and it would serve its purpose pretty well. But I would like it to be more smooth than that, so I'm going to do some more work on it. The bottom needs to be smoother than it is right now. It doesn't necessarily need to be uber smooth, because that's not really going to be seen very much. Gonna grab these faces in the back and move them out. Oh, I'm gonna turn on clipping so that if and when I extrude faces, it won't add weird faces. Now I'm going to move these 2 faces out. Now with the smoothing up of the model, you'll see what I'm doing there. I accidentally moved the 3D cursor from the origin point. Sorry about that. Now, let's see. Going to go into edge select mode, and I'm going to start tapering this receiver off towards the back. Just gonna press G, X over here. There we go, that's part of it. That's done. Grab this, move it down. Vertice select, and that doesn't need to be really as far back as it is, because that makes the mesh a little bit ugly. And now it's a whole lot nicer looking. What else should I smooth up for this? It looks pretty dang good. Let's see, if I move it to layer 1 here, I can sort of position it to where I like it, and that would look pretty good. But I think I want to add even more detail to it. Alright, I'm going to press tab. I'm going to add a loop cut right here. This may look like an odd place for the loop cut. And if I weren't doing this, it would be a very odd place for just a random loop cut. But I'm going to add this interesting groove here. By just dragging these down a bit. May want to drag this edge out. That looks good. Drag this one out. Good. Drag this just ever so slightly outward. And do the same for this vertice. Now it's starting to look pretty good, huh? But I want it to look even better. Just gonna move those in and move that in. Now, we've got this nice little groove effect. Not exactly sure why those moved like that, but that's fine. We've got this nice little blocky looking receiver. Now if we add smooth shading and edge split, it doesn't look too great. Now, I don't want it to be edge label, so I am going to tab. Let me see here. Tools. I think I know what I can do here. Now, I'm going to mark the edges that I'd like it to make sharp. By the way, if the watermark pops up here, you'll notice that I'm using a different screencast program than usual. That's courtesy of NCH software, because their video capture software is paid. Now, how do I mark an edge? Create shading UV. Options, grease pencil, miscellaneous, 3D printing, relations. I don't remember how I need to mark these. Sharp. Ah, yes. Now, it's starting to look the way I'd like it to look. But we need to smooth it up a little bit more if we want it to actually look good. So I'm gonna select this edge, or this vertice. Gonna move it out a bit. This vertice, gonna move it out a bit. Now, I see how it's kinda starting to look a little more like a tumor here. But you always have to remember, it's not a tumor! Yes, I'm putting humor in my tutorials. If you think that's bad, go make your own tutorials, I guess. Alright, this looks good. This looks really good. I see no actual errors in my mesh here. So, I'm going to move it to layer 1 and drag it to the place I'd like it. Now, I know how it looks like I'm going to try to make it here, but I'm not going to have just a handle, or just a grip that comes out like that. I'm going to have it be quite a bit more smooth and just kind of accent and complement the rest of it. So I'm going to add another cube. Alright. Now, we have to think about how we're gonna make this grip. I'd like to make it fairly smooth grip, so I'm gonna do just like last time I worked on a cube in this video, and add a bunch of loop cuts. Going to press this button, go into face select, go to 1, B, drag, X, faces, add modifier, and mirror. By the way, for this tutorial, I am assuming that you guys at least know a little bit about Blender, i.e. keyboard shortcuts, things like that. Now, turning clipping on, just because we're more than likely going to extrude faces for this one. I'm not going to rotate my cube yet because I'm just modeling the handle. When I actually have it completely modeled, I'm going to move it to the first layer and position it accordingly. But we're not quite there yet. So I am going to start off smoothing out sides of this. Just gonna drag this out this way. Now, going to want this grip to be more cylindrical than a cube is, just to make it look like it would be more comfortable to hold on to. Just gonna give it a sleek look. That looks pretty good. Now I'm going to add some curvature to it when I am ready for that. Oh wait. Heh. Don't want to extrude weirdly like that. Alright, now E, control. Whoa, not that much. Probably 0.5? Yeah. E, 0.5. E, 0.5. E, 0.5. Alright, it's starting to look pretty good. Going to extrude it a bit more. And the length is okay, but I'm gonna want it to look, yeah, that looks good. Now, going to take some of these, just occasionally, like every 3 of these should be fine. Okay, 2 like that should be good. I'm going to move them in to create what looks like these finger grooves. Probably ought to make it just 1 extrusion longer, just so I can add 1 more finger groove. Actually, I'm gonna make it even longer than that. Alright, so that, let's say 3 more. Now, so 3 up there, 3, that looks pretty dang good. Now we're not going to want it to look like it just kind of bumps in there like that, because that doesn't look very comfortable to grab, now does it? Can you see? Could you see feeling comfortable grabbing on those sharp pieces? You see, we are going to wow, that's a little bit confusing from the mesh. It's a good looking mesh though, I will say that. We are going to move these in like that, and in like that. That looks pretty good. I'm gonna take some of these, and I'm gonna grab them in like that. Now it gives it this smooth looking look. That was redundant. The grip is looking a little bit wider than I'd like it to be. So I'm going to press 1, I'm going to press S, then the X. That did not change it. S, X. No, it's not changing it. Yeah, I don't know what's going wrong with that, but we will revisit it in a little bit. Now, I'd like to Alt, select that. Whoa, that's a little too much. Going to select all of these. Yeah, it takes a minute to select these, just because there are so many of them. Tab. That looks good. That'll be good with smooth shading. Now, going to these bottom pieces. creating kind of a bit of a what looks like a pummel. Looks pretty good. Okay, I just realized what I was doing wrong. I need to go to edit mode so I can scale on the x-axis, and that doesn't look nearly as good as I thought it would be. SX, I know how I can fix that though. That looks good. Now, tab, in, layer, well, no, not yet. Move it back to layer 2. Now, smooth shading. Still need to mark a few edges. So, gonna go into tab, and sharp. That still doesn't look good, probably because I haven't added edge split, and there we go. That looks good. I'm gonna move it over here and go to 3. I'm going to needed to turn that off. Going to scale this all down here. R. That looks about right. G. R. Well, yeah, I'm gonna put it like that. G and could look smoother there, but I'm not gonna complain because it looks pretty good. Now I need a trigger piece. This will be pretty easy. Doesn't need to be really detailed. In fact, it probably doesn't even need smooth shading. Gonna add smooth shading just because if the whole thing is smoothly shaded, it looks even better. And this time I'm not gonna even add a mirror modifier, I'm just gonna model both sides. Not that that's saying much, because reasons. Alright. Alright. That looks good. Grab that inwards ever so slightly. Gonna grab those inwards quite a bit more though. getting a nice trigger shape. And that would get the job done, but you guys, even if you're just watching this video, by this point you know me, I want it to do more than get the job done. Alright. That looks pretty dang good. Now, going to give some smooth shading and add an edge split modifier. This time I don't think I need to mark any edges because that already looks pretty dang good. I'm trying not to burp. 3. Scaling it down, G to grab, and sticking it right there. Now, if I were to just go with a gun that looks like this, and give it some nice materials, nobody would be complaining. It looks pretty alright, and it would work. I'm gonna scale my trigger a bit. And, sure, it's very simple. But it would look good. But I want more than that. I want it to be detailed. Or at least more detailed than this. So first of all, I'm going to add a cylinder. Sorry. Add a cylinder. There we go. RX90. SY. Gonna scale that a bit. Scale it, Shift Y. And that's about like it. Wrong axis. Gonna grab it on this Y axis, move it back here. No, actually, G, Y, 2. Yeah. Shift, D, Y, 3. Minus 3, actually. There we go. Just adds a bit more detail. That smooth shading with our little edge split modifier that we love so much. For these simple objects, it's not gonna need any marking of edges or things like that. That adds some extra detail, but it's still a very simple gun. I'm not finished yet, but I'm gonna start fixing some of the models. Now, Control A, rotation and scale. Control A, rotation and scale. Control A, rotation and scale. Just doing this over and over on all of these. Upward. Caps lock is what I meant to press. Control A, rotation and scale. Control A, rotation and scale. This will just fix the lighting and the actual object and it'll make sure the mesh is still good. Now, I'd like the receiver to have some small details like parts attached to it. But I'm not going to model anything on the receiver because it might mess up the lighting on the mesh. So what I'm going to do is add a cube. What I'm going to do is add a cube. Steven Universe song, Steven Universe song. If you guys are fans of Steven Universe, you more than likely recognize that song. All I wanna do is see you turn into a giant woman, a giant woman. All I wanna do is see you turn. Alright, I'm gonna box select these faces, X faces. There we go. And we have half of a cube again. Select that button so we don't accidentally select faces we don't want to. And I'm going to add a mirror modifier. Select all of it and drag them out like this. I'm going to enable this layer over here so we know how big the model itself is compared to the rest of the model. Because these are supposed to be some pretty small things that are on the sides there. Now, I'm going to grab these. I meant to press shift on the other one. Oh well. Easy fix, huh? S, shift X, and that looks pretty alright. S, shift X again. Now that I know looks really weird, but we're gonna need that for smoothing. And, you know, OCD. Alright, 3, S, shift X. And you'll see why I have the corners still like that when I get to the end of this part of the model. 3, S, shift X, and okay, now this is not giving the effect that I'd like, so I'm going to fix my little model here. My little model, my little model. Oh. S, shift X, and no, shift X. Whoa. G, shift X, and there we go. Now I'm going to grab this. Well, no, I'm not. And grab these, S, shift X. Scale them out a bit. Just to give it a nice, smooth looking shape. Gonna grab these this way and this way. S, Shift X, and there we go. G, Shift X, and move them like that. Control R, and I'm gonna add about 3 loop cuts. Alright, now here is where we start smoothing out this model. Going to grab this whole side here, and I'm going to scale it down. Gonna Alt and select this edge around here, scale it again. Alt, select, scale it about to there. Alt, select, scale it. And this one we're really going to scale down. Now, we're going to go over here, move these about to here, and scale them way down, fix their position again. There we go, tab, grabbing them on the Z axis. Now, 3, gonna move them over here. Giving it smooth shading. Tab. There we go. Gonna make that sharp, but we need our handy little edge split modifier. Control A, rotation and scale. There we go. Looking pretty good, huh? Alright. Let me stretch for a second. Oh. Alright, I feel better. This is starting to look like a complex-ish gun. So I think I'm gonna start on our materials. Now, going to create our basic little material here. It's going to be a silvery reflective gun, so going to make it a glossy. That looks pretty good. And I'm going to apply that material to all of our other objects as well. Alright, we've got all our materials, but if you see, if I press Shift Z, it doesn't have anything to reflect. So I'm gonna have to add some stuff for it to reflect, huh? But first of all, you can see it does reflect itself a little bit, and I like that. I also haven't detailed the barrels much yet. Going to change that to a Beckman, maybe? No, not a Beckman. Something, Ashman Shirley? No, GCX. Let's just make it sharp. Now, I'm going to detail the barrels a little bit. That, E, S. Gonna scale it in by 0.8. And E, Y, 0.2, no, 0.3. Yeah. Tab. E, S, 0.8, E, Y, Y. Wait, that looks good, actually. Alright, so I'm going to do that, and on this one I'm going to press Tab, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, E, Y, 1, Enter, Tab, Tab, E, or S, yeah, ES, 0.8, E, Y, 1. Or Tab, E, S, 0.8, E, Y, 1. Alright. Now that we have that figured out, I'm going to adjust these materials a bit. Going to face select, and going to add another material, assign it, and we're just going to make that a solid black. Tab, that face, that, assign that material to. Yeah. Yeah, it's looking good. That, new material, assign that, tab, that, new material, assign that, tab. Alright. Now, this definitely looks good, material and shape-wise, but let's make it more interesting. Let's add another variant. Going to take that material out, add a new one. It's going to be another glossy, but we're going to make it look like more of a copper color. So we need to have a bit of an orange. That looks pretty dang good. This, going to take out that material, add a new glossy material, and it's going to be quite a bit darker. Good. Now, this, going to take it out, going to add another glossy that just isn't as reflective as the others, so I'm going to turn the roughness up. 0.05, that's good. And there we go. Now I'm going to Alright, here I've got that. Add a new texture, I think. A noise texture. Colors. No. Wait, I don't need that. I'm going to try and not that either. Node editor. Going to press Shift A, texture, noise texture, Shift A, search, color ramp. Going to input that into there and do that. Going to turn this distortion up quite a bit. That's about like it should be. Stop that. There you go. There we go. Gonna turn the blue up there. No, actually, I'm gonna turn that to black. Add, well, no, actually that should be this node should just be a little bit blue. This one should be black. So we've got some nice stars here. Going to go back to my 3D view, Shift Z, and it reflects nicely. Although we don't want the gun to look blue. Wow, it doesn't reflect nicely on these darker colors. So we're gonna Shift Z, and I'm going to join these objects, and instead of cylinder, we're gonna call it gun. Now our gun is looking pretty good. The mesh isn't the best one out there, but it's pretty good. Oh, whoa. Alright, going to apply some of these modifiers. Apply that. Apply that. I think those are the only mirror modifiers we have in this. Unless, yeah, we need to apply that mirror modifier. And now, click that, and join. Looks pretty good. I may have to modify the mesh just a little bit. Just to give it a smooth look that I want it to keep. Alright. That's fine, I guess. It's looking good. Now, I'm going to add what looks like a table. So I'm gonna add that, scale it up, say 8, SZ, S, Shift Z, scale it up more. Gonna add a plane as a light source. How we do that, we create our plane and give it an emission material. I'm gonna say it emits about a 10. So now yeah, it's starting to look better. Now that looks pretty alright, but I want it to look better. So I'm gonna add another one of these, scale it way up. Tab, top face, ES. Now I'm going to give it a new material, and another new material, assign that one, press new here, and let's say that is a glass node, or shader, whatever it is. Alright. Excuse you, cube. There we go. Alright. It's starting to look pretty good. Now, for this material, I'm gonna give it a glossy, and I'm gonna turn the roughness up a bit. Let's just say 0.1. Also gonna make it darker. That looks pretty good. Going to add a camera. I'm gonna say Control 0. Control Alt 0. Yeah. Not in. Lock camera to view. Actually, no, no. Alright, in unlock our camera. Just gonna zoom in a bit. Lock camera view. Zoom out a bit. Shift, grab it here. Rotate a bit this way. There we go. Now, we're gonna adjust our render settings a bit, because 10 samples, it looks awfully grainy. Because let's just let it sit there for a minute and do its render view thing. Granted, this is a very render intensive scene because I have crap tons of reflective objects. Gonna change our compression to 0% because I don't want this image to be compressed. I want it to look as beautiful as possible. Now I'm I'm going to change the render to 100 samples. This is going to really make it a long render, so I'm going to pause the recording while I render the image. Alright, I have the render finished, and you know, it looks really I'm kidding, this isn't what it looks like. It looks really beautiful like this. Now, I am going to save this, just going to save as image, going to put it in my documents folder. I am going to put it in pictures, and I'm going to put it in B3D ships. Yeah, I know it's ships, not guns, but Sprock gun, no effects. Now, this render, just by itself, does look absolutely stunning, but that's not good enough for me. I'm gonna go into my compositor here. Gonna select use nodes, backdrop, and so now we see this. Gonna shift A and viewer. Stick that there and that there. So now, oh crap, we have our nice little backdrop. I know it's a little zoomed in, but it is completely fine for our purposes. So I'm going to shift A and filter, and I'm gonna grab a glare, streaks. Now I'm gonna turn the amount of streaks to 2 instead of 4, and the angle offset should be 90. Actually, I think I like it at 0. Should set it on low quality to get the most amount of flare there. Going to G to grab it this way, and I'm gonna stick that in the composite. Shift A, another glare. This time it's gonna be ghosts. Let's see how that turns out. Wow, that is... wow. I'm gonna set it to high quality. Alright, it's at 2 iterations. That's quite a bit better than it was. Threshold, I'm gonna adjust that up a bit. Facebook notification, of course. Just gonna adjust this until I've just got a hint of flares there. Of course I do like that. Shut up, Facebook. This is looking good. So I'm gonna stick that on composite. Grab that this way, and there we go. That should be good. I'm gonna go into our UV image editor. Wrong panel. Although I'm gonna do that, just save us some time. Viewer node. Alright, looks pretty good. that concludes this tutorial. If you liked, please do feel free to leave a like, comment, consider subscribing, and whoa, I hope I will say you don't have to exactly follow my tutorial. This is my own original creation, and I recommend you guys make your own original creations. If you don't have Blender, it's free to download, and you get full features. It's arguably more user-friendly and better than a lot of the really expensive CAD programs. Just a tip for new users, Blender Render is pretty user-friendly for beginners, but Cycles Render will produce the most beautiful renders that usually you'd have to pay a whole lot more money for in an expensive program. Thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like, comment. Shut up. Please leave a like, comment if you'd like to subscribe. Until next time, I'm Sprocket. You're watching Sprocket Productions.